So I wanted to do this video in preparation for the new co-op update, as I felt it would be good to get the jump on it, but in order for me to show it off, I would first need to have friends. Welcome to the world of the unwelcome, where the most vile and fiendish gather, rabble-rousing that is heard across many millennia, a group so feared that Satan himself resurrected it into action, the Cult of the Lamb. For those of you who may be unfamiliar, Cult of the Lamb was a game released back in August 11th of 2022, and it was available on all major platforms. I mean, let's be real, if you truly haven't heard of, or at the very least seen this game before, then you must be from the Wildlands, cause ever since it got released, it's one of the few games that continues to show up in my feed, and for good reason. The developers at Massive Monster have still been supporting this game with purchasable cosmetic packs, as well as free updates that have expanded the gameplay even further. Whoa, okay. I'm getting way ahead of myself. Back to what the game is, Cult of the Lamb is a farming sim disguised as a roguelike, or light, whatever the difference is, set up in this semi-top-down or slanted perspective, very similar to the style of the game Don't Starve. Now, Cult of the Lamb actually describes itself as a roguelike first and a management game second. But this is my video, damn it. I'm gonna make the best farm there is. No demon lord will tell me what to do. I'll take as long as I want, Dad Satan! Get out of my room, Mom! The basic premise of the game is that you're a vicious cult leader set to build and care for your cult. Can we say that on YouTube? We're just gonna call it Fellowship from now on, just in case. I said vicious in a very questionable tone because that leads a bit into my next point. You see, while you may be a fellowship leader, the actions you take as such vary from person to person. As you level up and progress through the game, you're given options on how you would like to run your group. The differences aren't too vast, nor do they have any weight or moral scale over the story like with Mass Effect or the Infamous series, but they're here to determine the type of leader that you'd wish to be. For example, say you wanted to declare a new doctrine, remember this for later, about the afterlife. You're given two options. Do you want to allow funerals, allowing those who are mourning to have more hope for those that have passed on, or dabble your way into becoming a necrophiliac and resurrect all of your fallen followers? These are the tough choices you'll have to make for each playthrough. There's not the biggest amount of variety that divides the two choices, but most of the time there's relatively moral good and a relatively immoral bad option. Whichever one you pick is up to your own curiosity. However, there are still consequences that can be cast upon your fellowship depending on which you choose. But before we go any further into the details of the game mechanics, we need to figure out how exactly you became a fellowship leader in the first place. You start the game as this helpless, about to be slaughtered lamb by these fiends called the heretics. The perfect sacrifice. And just as you're about to accept the hand fate dealt you, you get transported to this mystical realm. Then this figure appears in front of you, claiming themselves to be the one who waits. They tell you that you've died, however, there's a greater purpose for you, as long as you do their bidding by starting a fellowship in their name. You eagerly accept, being given the red crown from atop the figure's head, allowing you to command your followers and strike fear into the hearts of your enemies. You adorn the crown, and you earn the title. You then fight your way through a small gauntlet of enemies and are greeted by this one-eyed mole-looking dude named Ratau or Ratatata. He tells you that he too was a chosen vessel like us, and he will guide us through our journey on what we need to do. After fighting some more cloaked figures, we come across an about-to-be victim of sacrifice. You heroically rescue them, giving them no choice but to submit themselves to you. Feels good to be a hero. This is where my favorite aspect of the game comes in, the customization. There is a wide variety of customization for your camp, as well as all of those who are in it who submit themselves to you, their god. There's a baseline of decorations that the game gives you as you further progress. All are randomly attained by going through the combat gauntlets, but you also have the ability to purchase some through many of the stores that pop up throughout your playthrough. More decorations become open to you as you further explore the realms of the heretics, having the decor match the aesthetic of the realm that you just discovered. You even get to name your camp, which I appropriately named after the greatest vessel to ever cross the forever expanding galaxies, the Giant of Peace. I made and named all my followers out of deviations of my friends' names. We have Gurkadoodlecock, Chrysler, Evanescence, Danable Lecter, Delectable, John Yubanu, and many, many more. There's even a fun Twitch integration where viewers of a Twitch stream can customize their own follower with their username and all, having them run around the town. Having this wide variety of character customization, even if it's just for your camp and not your own character, it helps manifest the fellowship as your own, like having a baby that you occasionally sacrifice the organs of and have to replace every other week. The baby of Theseus. Now, remember that thing that I told you to remember earlier in this video? Did you do it? Well, for the students actually paying attention in the classroom, we're circling back to doctrines. Doctrines are the main source of leveling up your resources and member productivity. Think of them as expanding the laws in the in-game context. I know I had already used the afterlife example earlier on in the video, but that's relatively all the doctrines are, just choosing between two options that can possibly help further your fellowship's faith in you. And faith is used to help maintain belief in you as a leader, meaning if your faith meter drops down to 0, your fellowship can start crumbling right under your nose, with members leaving and convincing others to leave as well, even stealing your gold if you don't build faith back up quick enough. Luckily for you, faith can be built by the rituals you unlock through your doctrines, as well as story progression. These rituals can stem from feeding your entire village, sacrificing the naysayers, getting everyone high, making them work non-stop for 3 days, and many more options to choose from. The problem can lie where some of the rituals can bring down the faith exponentially, but have overall production benefits. For example, one of the rituals allows all construction projects that you have set to be done instantaneously, but in doing so, it brings down villager morale, making their faith drop down a bit. It's such a clever balance between the in-game bonuses that I truly enjoy. You will also need to maintain food and cleanliness throughout your camp, or else your followers could perish due to your own inattentiveness. You have to cook meals and regularly clean up the chocolate presents your followers so graciously donate to the cause. As you progress further, you will also be given the opportunity to have your followers worship and pray, giving you devotion, the true main source of XP for your camp. This altar will allow you to build and upgrade a wide assortment of necessities to increase the productivity of your camp, that being bedding for new members, outhouses so they can do their dirty business, workstations that will allow them to collect resources on your behalf, on top of the many others that will progress your beloved fellowship. The last source of leveling is through the loyalty of your followers. The biggest source of loyalty is by reciting sermons to collect your XP, inducting new doctrines, completing quests from some of your followers that they may give you, and also doing this cute little inspiration dance. The higher the loyalty, the more dedicated and valuable they become. You can either sacrifice them to get a high amount of combat XP, or level them up high enough and they will be elected as one of your disciples. Once you max out your loyalty XP, you will be given your combat upgrades, giving you better weapons, more curses, and more expansive perks given to your weapons. And I know I've been spending a lot of time within the camp, and that's mainly because that's what I got attracted to the most in this game is the base management. But there's an entirely other aspect to this game, and that's its combat. The combat isn't anything too special or deep. You're given your weapons randomly at the start of each crusade and progress through procedurally generated dungeons, each run getting you closer and closer to fighting and defeating the heretics. You also make run-ins with specific NPCs that will give you benefits throughout your run, like the tarot cards that will give you bonuses for the run you're currently on, or relics that can be used multiple times by the amount of minions you slaughter. The story does coincide with the combat, as the main goal is to kill all the heretics to complete the prophecy, but there's not a deeper element aside from some cut-ins from the heretics taunting you about how worthless you are, and will inevitably continue to be once they are done with you. I also wanted to make a quick note to bring attention to the art style and animation. It is so adorable. I mean, see for yourself. Never once have I felt so much joy in seeing cutely animated bipedal animal creatures being sucked into the void of no return, or begging you to make them a food dish made entirely of questionably fresh excrement. It's so charming, and the deep reds truly make this game pop amongst the rest. There are a few critiques I would sadly have to throw its way. One that is incredibly prevalent, as seen throughout this footage, the stuttering. Yes, you're seeing this right. Your screen's not glitching. I'm playing this on a PS5, and with how long this game has been out and available, alongside the co-op update having just recently released, it's honestly pretty abysmal in my opinion. I've heard it's even worse on the Switch version, so correct me if I'm wrong about that. Luckily, its performance isn't too much of a hindrance to a point where you no longer want to play, but it's definitely not unnoticeable. Also, editor's note, while editing to get more B-roll, I just experienced my first crash, only to realize that the game doesn't autosave unless you travel to a different area or start a crusade. Thinking that the game autosaved after every night that passed, I wasn't panicking until I re-logged back into the game to notice all of my upgrades and everything from when I started did not save. If you plan on spending a lot of time in the camp, save regularly. Every time a new day passes by, you get that slight panic attack of your entire system crashing, only to realize that it's just a new day starting in your village. I kid you not, each time it goes from night into day, the game freezes for a solid 3 to 4 seconds. I know that sounds incredibly nitpicky, and I can understand how difficult it can be to load in all the entities smoothly, especially for a smaller development team, but I just feel this should have or could have been smoothed out by this point. It's become incredibly noticeable, especially if you spend a lot of time in your camp. My second critique that I have may be more of a skill issue on my part, so take this one with a grain of salt. But during combat, I've had my character do a combo in a specific direction, and then during one of the swings, he'll swing in a completely opposite direction, or the hit detection just won't hit at all. It will not register. Now, this very well could be a me thing where my brain is registering my escape before my attack, so I inadvertently attack in the other direction. However, I feel this happens more often than other games in this genre. Like, I could have spastic fingers. As I said, it could be a skill issue, but I wanted to bring it up just in case I wasn't the only one experiencing this. Speaking of weapon combos, I do have one gripe with the dagger specifically. You see, the weapons are differentiated by power and speed. The dagger has high speed but low damage outputs. This is my preferred type of playstyle for games in this vein, like Armored Core or Returnal. I enjoy evasiveness over strength. I bring this all up because Cult of the Lamb has this one teensy-weensy little thing that ruins this playstyle for me, and that's the combo system. See, if you swing the dagger 5 times very quickly, the first 4 swings will all be the same quick slash. Little damage with each swing, but multiple attacks in quick succession, also known as perfection. However, the last swing locks your movement and leaves a gigantic gap between swings, somewhat making the speed section of the weapon untruthful. Yes, you can just stop swinging after 4 swings, dodge, and then come back for 4 more, but I feel I shouldn't have to keep track of the number of swings every single time I want to attack. I just want to hack and slash some adorable cult members. Maybe I got spoiled by having the first roguelike I've ever played be Hades, but this combo specifically just feels unnatural in combat, at least for me, and it somewhat ruins the flow. In Hades, the attack speed of the weapon is exactly the same no matter how many times you hit the standard attack button. Each swing is responsive and has the same swing rate as previous swings or hits. So far, the dagger is the only weapon that I've had this slight issue with. The other weapons aren't as speed focused as the dagger is, so there's not any big interrupting pauses when swinging them. Another point I want to make is I also wish you could choose specifically which chore you want your followers to do. For example, I have 6 stations to gather wood, 2 of the 4 stations being higher upgraded versions of the base station, and I have 2 separate radio towers to boost productivity. Whenever I tell a follower to collect wood, they'll run to a completely random one instead of the highest producing one. Then I tell another follower to collect more wood, and they walk over to one on the complete opposite side, meaning that I have to waste more resources on the second radio tower to make sure both are being productive. I have found out that if you go up to them again and ask them to chop down the wood, they'll move to a different station, but it's still random, so you have to be playing Ring Around the Rosie for them to finally get to the station you want, only for it to turn nighttime, and then for them to wake up the next morning going to a completely different station. I don't know if there's a way to do it and I'm just going insane, but if it's not a system that's implemented already, I will be the first to sign that petition to get that going. I know that aside from the frame drop and lag issues, the rest of my complaints have been more nitpicky, so I apologize if it sounds like I'm just trying to be anal or something, but truthfully, I'm being nitpicky because I've been having so much fun with this game. The fun I've been having has greatly exceeded any slight qualms I may have with the gameplay itself, aside from the freezing and lag, that definitely needs to be better optimized. I've seen a good amount of people playing it before, amongst friends and across YouTube, and it's looked like an adorable blast. I was lucky enough to be gifted a physical copy by my friend Garrett. Shout out to you, Gert. Love you, bud. And it does not disappoint. The last time I got this sucked into a game to the point where I became Time's bitch, I had played Stardew Valley for a couple months. After multiple all-nighters a week of that, I realized I had to take it outside to look at the flowers. Abigail, my angsty sweet. The game is seriously addictive. Just last weekend, I was writing the script, and I wanted to grab a few more minutes of footage to help visualize some examples of certain points within the script. 5 hours later, it's 4 in the morning. I barely got any more of my script writing done because of it. The title and thumbnail are not lying. It's incredibly addictive. Depending on the type of person you are, this could be your worst nightmare. But I will say, the grind in this game is anything but boring. It's the literal digital personification of just one more thing and then I'll be done. You will never be done. You thought you were indoctrinating your followers, but no, they were indoctrinating you. There's not much new that I can say about this game that hasn't already been said. I mean, I guess I technically could cover the co-op mode as it's been released, and this would be the prime time to hop on that hype train. But I truly don't have time to cover that while also getting this video out on time. I want to be more consistent with my uploading, so unless you'd want to wait another 5 months before the next video, I think I can sacrifice my opportunity to cover that. Hey, see what I did there? I'm sure it's a blast, and I'll be excited to hear about it through the other outlets. At the time of recording, I haven't beaten the final boss yet, so I apologize for also not covering that or giving my thoughts on it, but know that I will be completing it after this video is uploaded. All I know for certain is that no matter what update comes next, I will be elbow deep in that sustenance. Cult of Lamb truly became my strange addiction. Hey everyone, I just wanted to say thank you for not only making it to the end of this video, but also for all the love that was given on my previous video about Toem. I had even reached out to the developers about this video, wanting to share my appreciation to them for making such an amazing game, and they sent me this little thank you card, and it's so adorable. I'll admit, I cried when I saw the email, but yeah. If you haven't seen that video yet, I'll leave a link in the description, as well as making one of those end cards that you'll see probably in a second if you haven't already. I don't understand the timing of these things. Go and watch it. Oh yeah, and like and subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this. That just feels gross to say that. Do whatever you want, I don't care. Thank you all so much for watching.